All right. Well, I am excited. This is going to work. We are interviewing Integrative Health Coach Nakia Morgan. I feel like a sound should go off right now. This is happening. I'm hoping that the platform was our issue. We are talking about food and spirituality, no matter what. No more technical difficulties. Um, in functional faith, we're introducing a new unit. It is functional food. And I'm sorry, that's not right. The new unit, that's what we're talking about today. But the new unit is Testify Tuesdays. And I'm thrown off because this is Thursday.
Yes.
We've been trying to have this interview go flawlessly all the way through for a couple days now. But we are here because we want to talk about food and spirituality. So I thought that we would just start off by hearing your story and talking about how you came to work in integrative health coaching.
Okay. So I am Nakia Morgan, Integrative Health Coach, and I am a mom and a wife and a Mimi, and I've worked in healthcare in this country for 24 years, a little over 24 years. And one of my later roles in working in healthcare was to review medical records and help hospitals and other medical entities recoup lost or missed revenue that they could actually just get paid more for the procedures and the treatment that they had administered to their patients. And in me doing this, I realized that a lot of these issues that people were being treated for and that cost so much money were preventable if only they had implemented healthier habits pre-diagnosis or even after diagnosis. A lot of illnesses can be reversed. So in my own life, I've always, in some way or shape, loved natural medicine, herbs, natural ways of treating health, building health. So I've always had some form of interest. But at this time in my life, I had to sit and speak with God and ask what was my purpose. Even though I loved my job and I was being paid well, I felt like there was a void. And after my prayer, I opened my computer and I found integrative health coaching, which I knew for me was the real deal because health is so much more than what we eat, right? So it's integrative, it's all areas of our life. And so that's how I enrolled in health coaching, health coach training, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. I love that it was something that you were already doing that led you to where you are today. And it was you identified a gap in care that, man, so many more people need to stand there. And it takes someone with a special calling and eye to see, okay, so we have doctors who are taking care of people when they're sick. And we have people who are sick or who don't want to ever get sick. Someone has to stand in that gap because doctors are specially trained, but they don't know that they don't have the all the tools in the toolkit, like you said, to address every different area of someone's life or to even
Yes,
spend the time to get to know someone on that deep of a level to
yes,
say, oh, maybe before you try this medicine, maybe you just sleep more or maybe drink more water. Um, so there's so many different aspects to that. So I think that's just incredible that you were even able to identify that. And now here you are.
yes. And like you said, they don't have the time.
Yeah.
Doctors' visits are time-based. And quite honestly, all the years in medical school, I think there's one semester of nutrition that's required.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
they're treating the symptoms. And I like to help my clients get to the root. I'm not against Western medicine. Sometimes we need those acute situations for life-saving issues, but I do feel a lot of the majority of our issues, especially chronic disease, we can get to the root of it and
Yeah.
see, yes, and see some improvement and turn things around.
And doctors agree. Doctors want more people doing these lifestyle preventive measures. That's just not their specialty.
Right,
That's
right,
not their
right.
specialty. And, our healthcare system developed more in wartime. Doctors are more for like, okay, your arm, it's gonna kill you if we don't cut it off. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's what. a doctor is for is that to come in when you need them most. So yeah, I'm very thankful for Western medicine too. But oh my goodness, there's so much more. There's ancestral and cultural wisdom that has been neglected and even kind of demonized at times.
Yes.
Um, Unfortunately, even demonized by the Christian church.
Yes.
Um, but oh man, that's part of the reason why we're so sick today because we're not taking advantage of all that God has given us. Not only not only the science that has developed Western medicine, but also the wisdom and the science, the ancestral science, ancient science that has given us so many, like you mentioned, herbal knowledge and knowledge of food. There was
Yes.
some way that they, that there were healers and things of that nature hundreds of years ago, and they learned from observation and trial
Yes.
and error.
Yes.
So
But,
talk to us more about how health impacts our habits.
well, my own health was affected by my habits. I was diagnosed as a pre-diabetic in my early 40s. And when it happened, my grandmother was diabetic, my mom, other family members. So it was kind of like, well, it runs in the family. And you're over 40 now. So it was like they're normal. But I didn't want it to be my normal. But once I began to learn how everything in our life affects us, I realized that it was my habits I had to change because you grow up doing what you see. You eat the foods they eat, you kind of mimic their patterns, especially as a woman and a wife. I saw my grandmother neglect herself and stay up cooking and cleaning and, doing all these other things. So I had to get uncomfortable with my habits. Um, and as a 40 plus year old woman at that time, my hormones began to change and I
Mhm.
didn't like it. It was kind of like, oh, that's normal too. I'm like, no. Um, so I actually balanced my hormones and reversed my pre-diabetic diagnosis by implementing healthier habits. And I did not take commercial pharmaceuticals to do so.
Wow, that's incredible. That takes discipline.
Yes, yes. And it doesn't have to always, it's the majority of the time what I do.
Mhm.
Um, and in integrative health, I help my clients explore what feels good to them. So if I go off track and then I sit with myself and realize, okay, this doesn't feel well. I journal what I eat, and even though it may have been something habitual that I've grown up eating, it didn't make me feel good a couple hours later or the next morning. So then I started to realize, okay, this may taste good, but it's not good for me all the time. So
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be as hard as it sounds. It really doesn't. It actually feels good.
That's true. I think that's really good. You talked about kind of tapping into what feels good to you and not just what tastes good, what feels good on your tongue, but what
And
has you
in your
feeling,
spirit.
yes, what has you feeling good in your spirit, what has you feeling good a few hours later or even that next day. Um,
Yes.
my husband was diagnosed pre-diabetic some years back as well. And now he's an all or nothing type of person. So he couldn't do the whole, I think for most people, you can do kind of 80/20. Like you said, it's not good for me to have all the time, but sometimes I can, delight in these things. But he had to go cold turkey. But we did see his numbers change as well. So it definitely is
Yes.
possible to especially when you're at the pre-diabetic stages, it's possible to change your habits, tune in, listen to your body, and make a change for the better. Um, so in your life, where do you see a connection between food and spirituality?
Um, Food has a great impact, I feel, on spirituality. Um, if you are eating life or in consuming life, right, you're going to feel more full of life. So I encourage my clients, I encourage everyone, eat a lot of life, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, things, nuts, whole foods, not processed foods, anything that's not frozen in a bag or in a drive-through. So because these things have grown out in nature, they have absorbed the energy from the sun, the soil, right? And I feel that when you ingest that, you ingest those things also. So when you're feeling heavy and lethargic from food you've consumed, are you thinking about your connection to the divine at that time? You know, do you think, okay, this is my time to pray or to manifest or meditate? Not typically. So we become what we take in. And I just encourage everyone to take in more life, take in more water. Water is fluid, right? Water is hydrating. Water keeps us connected. So our bodies are more than 70% water. So if we're not giving our brain and our body what it needs, it affects us spiritually because we're draining ourselves.
That is so good. I likewise, I was reading a book, and the author of the book was from the Kemetic tradition, and she very much felt very strongly that when we're eating animals that have lived a stressful life, or who were abused or who experienced a lot of stress before they were slaughtered, that we take that in, and that can contribute to our own anxiety or anger. And so I experimented with that. For a month, I was vegan. I tried to do raw vegan, but I would have like at least one raw meal a day, well, plus like a smoothie. But it makes sense at least on the enzyme level, you know. But when you
Yeah.
take it to like an energetic level as well, I mean that I see the possibility there. And I know that 1 month for me, it was a game changer in my life. I think it was very detoxifying for my system. Digestion is actually the greatest stress that we put on our system all day. And so to eat things that were more easy to break down, I think allow my body to get out of fight and flight and into rest and digest. And I even after a couple weeks of being like, I'm pretty sure this is working. Like I feel like I'm kind of more emotionally stable, because before that I was fighting to get into a psychiatrist to find out if I'm bipolar, per my counselor's advice. And but I was like, I'm really feeling like this. I'm getting more balanced. So I told my husband, who has struggled in the past with anger issues. It's like, you might want to try this out. And he did it as well. And like he's been different ever since. So like food is powerful. It makes a difference. And you talked about water. Um, I was just talking to a client yesterday and I was like, girl, have you seen Frozen 2? And she was like, yeah. I was like, you know how Olaf talks about water memory? I was like, it's a real thing. But
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen like the YouTube video where there's like a doctor and he conducted an experiment, and like they speak prayers over water. They speak blessings. They speak positive words like love and affirmations. And the water takes the molecular structure of the water. Yes, it takes different
Changes.
form, and it's
It changes.
beautiful. It's like beautiful different snowflakes and things like that. And then they speak like hate and murder and like malice, like evil words over the water, and it's like looks just chaotic and like an abyss. It's like, oh
Murky.
my gosh. So then when you say that our bodies are over 70% water, what is that doing to us? You know, what is it? And our food is a lot of our food is made up of water too. So you know, we're taking in on a cellular level that it's changed by what it experienced getting to us, right?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
then our the molecular structure of the water in us is it responds to that. So like, it's interesting. And I think I just see God in all that. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like I just see God in all that, because like God is creator. That is God's design. So like, you know, what is God telling us through that? You know what I mean? I feel like it's just such a message of not only what are you taking in, and I've heard you say before, what feeds you off the plate. I love how you say that. I think that's just really
Yes.
that's really good. But you know, like what are we taking
Yes.
in and what's feeding us off the plate? Because our mindset when we're eating is so important. So I want to ask you the question that I've heard you ask before. What feeds you off the plate?
Me personally,
Uh-huh.
or me personally, my spirituality, my alone time. I went for years, and kind of similar to you, I had postpartum depression.
Hmm.
And what I learned in my journey only after that, because this was after my second daughter, who is now 22, the first thing everyone wanted to do was to give me prescription medications.
Yes.
I didn't want that, but I didn't have the knowledge I had now. So I kind of dealt with it. I was kind of, mood swings and different things. What I have learned is since then, I was deficient in minerals because of a baby being birthed, of course.
Yes.
Healing could have helped, foods could have helped me greatly. And also other things off the plate, like what I needed for me. So, for example, some people they feel their best when they're around others or they're always surrounded. I had to learn I don't. I
Yeah.
used to think something was wrong with me. We would go to family gatherings and, somebody go, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm thinking nothing, but it was probably showing or coming out in my spirit that I was not happy and nobody had done anything. But I say all that to say what each person needs is different. So, like, we could eat a certain way, like you said, you did the month without meat, that made you feel good. Someone else may not feel as good. And that
Hmm.
comes from ancestry. That's our DNA. It's where we're from. It's what we've always eaten as a people. Um, but what feeds me off the plate is what feels good to me. My spirituality, my alone time so I can think and fill my cup and then come out and give my love. I love eating good foods. I love trying new things. And because I've done that, my relationships have improved with my children, with my husband. I'm less stressed. So I
Right.
have healthier relationships. I do feel when you grow in your spirit, you're more empathetic, you're more understanding, you're more less to react. And so when I learned myself off the plate, my choices for my foods were even better
Hmm.
because it all ties in together. If I eat an inflammatory meal or a meal that's not good for me, it affects my anxiety, which I didn't even know how to acknowledge at one point in my life. That
Hmm.
affects my digestion, it affects my sleep. So what's going to happen the next day? A mood swing or something, right? And I apologize. I feel like I get all over the place, but I'm very passionate about it. And it's all related. So for Nakia, I love to read. I love my alone time. I love my quality time with my husband. I love our quality time as a family. I love jazz. I love essential oils. As long as I can fit those things in, I feel like I'm being fed. And I feel like I feel the best in my life right now. I'm almost 50 years old. And I thank God for wisdom and knowledge. And I thank God for the purpose of me sharing this with others because it just fills me up. It just fills me up.
Oh man, that is so good. Well, thank you for sharing all that with us. Like, I just, man, I see God working through all of that. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's all of those things are gifts. And I think it's so interesting that when we tune into our bodies, and like you said, it's so unique.
Yeah.
What feeds you might not be what feeds me, and what feeds me
Yes.
might not be what feeds someone else. It's very individualized, and that's where a health coach comes into play. Sometimes we're not even tapped in, like you said, you weren't. You didn't even you weren't acknowledging at one point that it was anxiety that you were dealing with. A health coach kind of helps us to identify things like that, to put the pieces of the puzzle together for our lives. Health is just so individualized.
It is.
And so I think it's very vital the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And I'm studying functional nutrition, so I'm also offering my services, but I'm like, I need to bring her on because it's not at all about competition, it's about collaboration. So
Oh,
there's
yeah.
so many people who need help. So yeah, if you are looking for someone who I'm gonna name some specialties of yours, and if I miss one, you gotta let me know, who specializes in working with women, women with diabetes, mindset, and movement, then contact Nakia. She is excellent, and you can tell just by this interview that she is lovely and a beautiful soul. And if we want to learn more from you, continue to learn more from you, where can we find you on the internet?
I am right now. I'm on Facebook. My name is just Nakia Morgan. Instagram, it's the Nakia Morgan. And then I'm working on my website. It's under construction right now, but you can message me on one of those, or if you prefer an email, my name is Nakia. The email address is Nakia@NakiaMorgan.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time again as we work through these technical difficulties.
We got it done.
Well, I really look forward to doing this again sometime soon. And thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.